I'd like to call up Grand Chief Tim Thompson, Akwesasne First Nation.
Sego, to the leadership, to the people, to the elders, I bring you greetings from the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne and our community. At this time, I'm going to ask National Chief Phil Fontaine, Regional Chiefs Angus Toulouse and Sean Atleo to stand behind me in solidarity as they bring this issue forward to the government and to the people here in Canada. Thank you. Our community is divided by the international border between Canada and the United States, as well as the provinces of Ontario, Quebec, and New York State. It is important to remember that these borders were not put in our community by us. They were put there by the governments of Canada and the United States. By reason of this border, Canada has placed a customs office on our land in the middle of one of our residential communities. In 2006, the government announced that they were going to implement a policy of the government that would allow the arming of Canadian border guards. Canadians were told that this was a national policy to implement over a 10-year process from 2006 to 2016. Throughout this process, Akwesasne, our leadership, has voiced our opposition to the arming of the Canadian border guards that are on our territory at Akwesasne. The Mohawk Council was never consulted to this policy. The government does not know what consultation and accommodation is. They have federal court rulings telling them they must consult with First Nations, but they continue to brush those aside and use the strong-arm tactics that they have done with Akwesasne. We oppose the arming of the Canadian border guards on our territory because we have seen community members endure harassment by the border guards on our territory for many years. We have documented reports of various incidences that have occurred among our people, from our elders to our youth, both men and women. We have cases before the Canadian Human Rights Commission. These documented cases include our elders being pushed to the ground, our young man, 17 years old, being put through a cavity search, a young woman being put through a vacuum machine, which is an X-ray machine used for transport trucks. She wasn't put through this machine once. She was put through it twice. The Canada Borders facility is on our land. It is in a residential area with homes on both sides of the compound. Our children get on and off school buses at the crossroads nearby. There's a tennis court, a lacrosse wall, and in the winter our children play in the hills next to the CBSA facility. The safety of our people would be in jeopardy if we allowed guards to have firearms, especially those who are aggressive, racist, and intent on racially profiling our people. Our community has had enough of the harassment. The Customs Officers Union has admitted that these officers are under stress. But to put a gun in their hands and provide those officers with only 3 weeks of training is ludicrous. We have seen our community squeezed to the limit with harassment. U.S. officials moving forward with the Western Hemisphere travel initiatives. Our community forced to wait in lines to get off Cornwall Island, to just go to work, to school, to carry on daily business, visit family, socialize, or go shopping on the weekends. Enough is enough, Canada! The Mohawk Council has been in mediation in the past with CBSA as the Canadian Human Rights Commission table. The Mohawk Council has put forward recommendations that may have helped alleviate some of the problems at this border crossing. Things like putting a liaison position in place, by having cultural sensitivity training implemented for CBSA officers on our territory. But CBSA officials waited a bit too long to accept these kinds of recommendations. Instead, yeah, they have cultural sensitivity training. They bring a professor in from Toronto and they go have a luncheon at a restaurant in Cornwall. We all know the truth about the history books, how wrong it is about our culture and our history. If there's going to be cultural sensitivity training, it has to be by us, from our community, as Mohawk people. The Mohawk Council has never denied any type of cultural sensitivity training for the CBSA officials or the liaison officer, as the Minister, Peter Van Loan, states. These were our recommendations that came from the Canadian Human Rights Commission mediation. We put them forward. The Minister of Public Safety, Peter Van Loan, is a liar, and he continues to lie to the Canadian people when he states the Mohawks have been consulted. He doesn't know what consultation is. The Mohawk Council passed a resolution on February 28, 2008, banning CBSA officers from wearing firearms, and that would be enforced before the June 1st deadline. The government didn't believe us, and as each party dug in to make our points, Mohawk Council officials met in a last-ditch effort with CBSA on May 28th to stop the process